My name is Abhay Dandekar, and I share conversations with talented and interesting individuals linked to the global Indian and South Asian community. It's informal and informative, adding insights to our evolving cultural expressions, where each person can proudly say, "Trust me, I know what I'm doing." Hi everyone, on this episode, a conversation with leaders from the Satyarthi Global Movement for Compassion, Kinsu Kumar and Varsha. Stay tuned. So as a pediatric doctor, my primary mission is to keep children healthy, safe, and promote a sustained pathway to adulthood. Yet at the core of all of this is to optimize a thriving and supportive environment where, from babies to teenagers, nurturing, stimulating, and loving surroundings can envelop each individual to learn, discover, and grow as a self-determined human in our world. Like many, my own advocacy gains power when it's fueled by a community and the strength to eradicate forces that block any freedom for children to reach their full potential. And as January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month here in the US, I wanted to draw attention to this cause by sharing a conversation with Kinsu Kumar and Varsha, two youth leaders from the Satyarthi Global Movement for Compassion. Founded by Nobel Peace Prize winner Kailash Satyarthi, a pioneering giant who has fought his entire life to empower children, eradicate child slavery, child labor, and child trafficking through education with social and structural reform, the Satyarthi Global Movement for Compassion centers on compassion as a mode to restore justice, peace, equity, and sustainability in the world. Globally, there are estimated to be 160 million children who are trapped into bondage labor or slavery, with parallel atrocities stemming from sex and human trafficking and child marriage. Using compassion to harness our own human instinct, our common humanity, and our deep empathy to respond to suffering, the movement's Bal Ashram and Bal Mitra initiatives exemplify these efforts at the grassroots level in India. Kinsu Kumar's life began in hardship in Uttar Pradesh, where he was forced into child labor at the age of 6. His life changed, however, when he was rescued at age 7 and brought to Bal Ashram, a rehabilitation center where he received education and learned values of justice and leadership. As a young adult, Kinsu is a leading advocate now for child rights, speaking at global platforms like the UN and the European Union, with an award-winning activism and a true profile in courage. He serves now as an associate manager at Bal Ashram, continuing his work with the Satyarthi Movement for Global Compassion. Varsha is the Bal Culture Minister of Bal Parishad and a dedicated youth leader from Chanakyapuri in India. She has been an active member of the Kailash Satyarthi Children's Foundation's Bal Mitra Mandal since 2018, working to improve education, safety, and community welfare. Currently in 12th grade, Varsha balances her studies with her passion for social work. Her father works as a laborer, and she remains committed to creating positive change in her community. Varsha actively attends English classes at AES School to further enhance her skills as a communicator and an effective youth and peer leader. It was truly an honor to share a conversation with the both of them and shine a light on their experiences and the entire movement. I'm actually really honored to be joined by Varsha and Kinsu Kumar on the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
honored to join you. Thank you for inviting us in this podcast.
Let's go ahead and start with one thing then. If you can briefly just tell me, what do you remember the most about your entry into the Bala Mitra program, or that time of transition? What do you remember the most about how you felt and how you got into the Bala Mitra program?
I joined Bal Mitra Mandal in 2018 by a small program which was on Teachers' Day, a theater program. We have to shoot a video for our teachers. So I started coming for participating in that. Then slowly I came to know what is Bal Mitra Mandal, what is Kailash Satyarthi Children Foundation, what we have to do in that. It's all about the child rights, the rights of children. So I was interested in doing social work. So I'd start coming in the meeting And then they, sir, teacher, Bhaiya, Didi, gone to tell me that this happened in Bal Mitra Mandal. You have to do this. We do work for child rights.
And Varsha, tell me maybe a little bit more about your background and what were some of the things that you had experienced prior to that, if at all, that made you feel like this was such an important thing for you to do.
So in starting, I was little bit not interested that it is only for time pass. But when I start coming in this and seeing the what happened all in this, so my parents are also supporting me, and I personally don't know what the child rights mean, what all child have their rights. But when I came here, I know the rights for children.
Sure.
My parents also supports me. They
Which
don't
is
say, they never say me that don't go in this. It's all about time waste. They only encourage me that you go and learn more about yourself and the rights for the children. I can take stand of my, but now I take stand of my also, and for others also I can stand.
yeah.
Give them support.
Kinsu Pai, maybe you can also share a little bit about your background and how you came into joining the program.
Thank you very much for inviting me to join this podcast, and I'm very happy to share about me and the work we do. Well, my childhood was very different. I was a car cleaner at the age of 6, and I come from a hometown, Mirzapur, Uttar Pradesh. It's a very small town, but known for the carpet industry globally. And but I wasn't in I wasn't in the carpet making, but I was working as a car cleaner with my father. My father was is a driver, so I used to help him and do the cleaning stuff of others as well, and earning very little amount, I would say, which is was nothing that time, but we had no other choice to do anything else. But I was rescued from that work by Kailash Satyarthi ji, who is a Nobel Peace Laureate organization, as I was brought to this place where I'm sitting today, Bal Ashram. So Bal Ashram is a long-term rehabilitation center for the freed bonded child laborers who were rescued from child labor, slavery, and exploitation. And this is the place which give them a chance to live their childhood again and uh, be whatever they want to be in their life and chase their dream. And I was fortunate to be one of them. And I was brought here and then received my education. I never been to school before I came to Bal Ashram. So it was first time when I came to Bal Ashram and started learning and writing my name on slate and using pencil and pen. So that's how my journey began, and it continued today as well. Today I'm back at this place. Uh, that for very long. I've been working at this place now for last 5 years with the Satyarthi Movement for Global Compassion. So Balashram is one of the part of Satyarthi Movement for Global Compassion organization.
One question that I had was, in that same experience, do you remember when you were actually, when this cycle was broken for you and when you were rescued and put into the difference between being someone who was working as a child and then of course someone who was now going to school? At that time, did you at all, first off, what do you remember about that change? And then second off, did you feel trapped before that?
Well, I would say I was too young to think about that time because I was only 6, and since I could not see any other choices, my father has a very little earning, and he could only earn that he could give us meal for the day. But I could see the children going to school and sometime meeting them and wearing their different school dress and going to school and coming back, and they were free, they could play. So I could sense that and I could see that as well. And when I was withdrawn, rescued, I was withdrawn from child labor and I was brought to this place, Bal Ashram, which is again founded by Kailash Satyarthi ji and his wife Sumedha ji. So this place, I could see the same thing. All the children were happy studying. They could play, they can eat as much they want, and they were free. Nobody was forcing them to do any kind of work. So that was the change I saw. And then I realized that what's the different and what I was doing. And later also realized that this is something which is wrong, that a is not child is not entitled to work. He should be studying, he should be free, he should be living his childhood, he can play, he can eat, and he should be loved. So that's the change I experienced after coming when I came to Varashram.
Varsha, I'm curious for you now in your experiences. Do you see children going through that same kind of change and that
Yeah,
cycle?
many children who are not going to school and not care for their study or their self. So we search for those kind of children and told them that you have right to study. We have done lots of admission of the children. Now they went to school. Some are doing child labor also. We told them that this is not your right. You don't have to do child labor in this age. You have to study. You have to make your career. So some listen our words, what we say to them. They start going to school, and we have done some little campaigns in our summer holidays who children live in roadside. We go and teach them in our summer holidays 2 to 3 hours and tell them you have to study, you have to do further things. You don't have to do child labor. So we give them time. We teach them. So they listen to us.
Yeah, and there's a difference between listening to somebody who is not necessarily an adult and rather is somebody maybe a little bit older than them. And yet, for you, have you sensed sometimes that even for them, those children who still have some difficulty in really trying to get into the system or get out of where they are, that it's not always so black and white that they could just turn it off and now switch. What do you usually say to those children who find it difficult sometimes?
Yeah, we just tell them that you see in your surrounding that everyone is happy. They are going to school. They're enjoying their life, and you are doing the work in this age. You have to have some courage to study. You also want to enjoy your life. You have right. So you also go to school. Sometimes they say, no, I don't want to go to school. I am happy in this. But we tell them, we try to take stand for them. We encourage them that you have to go to school. You try for once. If you like, then you can go, or it's your choice. So if they try to go to school or join the school, then they only say, no, I am happy in going to school. I don't want to do work.
Yeah. And Kinsu, some of the stories, of course, surround child labor. Some of it surrounds trafficking. Some of it surrounds sex working. And in your experiences, having survived through some of that, and then also dealing with some of those children who may find it very difficult to actually exit some of those situations. And as much as we try, do you still remember or even have experiences now of those children who you have kept in touch with, who are your peers, who still were in some of those situations, and even now seeing some of those children who find it very difficult to exit out of those situations?
The children who were rescued from child labor, in my case, I was in much better condition because I was living in my family. There are many, like most of the stories and the children who live along with me and my peers, that they came from the very worst condition. Especially people won't believe that bondage slavery still exists. A child which is goes through this different forms of exploitation, once a child trafficked, and then he sold, and he is kept, and they kept him for very long as a bonded labor, and he's working at some place for 16, 18 hours, and they go through the worst violence which we can imagine. And for them it's very hard to come out of that trauma and experience they have faced. And when they come at Bal Ashram, it's not easy for them to. First of them, when they are rescued, they think that they are again being going to be captured and going to be sold and trafficked at different place. So it's very hard for them, and they don't trust anymore. They lose the trust, and they feel terrified with the people touching them and talking to them, because nobody has ever talked to them with the love and with the care. So it's very hard for them, and it's very difficult for them to realize that they have a identity and they have a rights, that nobody can take away, and they have right to be loved, right to get education and live their childhood. So at Bal Ashram, we have counselors who deal with them and work on their trauma, and teachers who become friend with them and deal with their mental health problem, and that's how slowly they come out of that. But it's not easy for neither for me and for all the children who come from that background and slavery they have faced. So but they are very bright and full of energy. They need the support, they need the chance to live and to get education. And once they receive that, they had done tremendous success in their life. They gone to become engineers, doctors, lawyers, hotel management students. So that's how their life has changed. So Kailash ji, who is our founder, we call him Bhai Sahab Ji with love, which means big brother. And he always believed that every child has his right, and every child has power, that if he's given the chance to live his childhood and equal opportunities, he can be whatever he wants to be in life. So that's very important.
Varsha, I'm curious. We were just talking about how sometimes, these children lose trust. And so you, as someone who's a teenager and someone who's not that much older than them, how do you help them manage that? And by the way, working with many of these children who have gone through so much trauma, how do you sometimes help yourself manage that? Because that's a lot to try and not only help other kids through, but you as someone who is helping to help those children, that must be a lot to think about as well.
In starting, we face lots of problem because children don't trust on us. They say that they will not help us, they will not support us. So in starting, they don't listen to us, but we have to make trust with them that we will do something for you. So
Yeah.
yeah, face very lots of problem, but then I can handle that with my friends. I don't only one who help them. Firstly, the team was very supportive. That's why we can do any work. So now we can face any problem if we will together. We were now, yeah, in starting we can face the problem, difficulties, but now we can handle everything very clearly because now the people also know that we can do something for them.
And so it takes some time to develop trust, but it
Yeah, it takes,
sounds like you also have
yeah,
a team of other people who support
yeah,
you as
the
well.
other team also support us, and now they have the trust on us because not only study, we have done lots of work in our community. So then our community people also help us. Then the
Yeah.
children can do something.
Yes. Yes. All of this is so heavy. It's a very, very difficult, challenging subject to constantly deal with. And yet you both are leaders in this space and doing such important work. You know, when you think about all the atrocities that are done against children, it's easy in a way to respond with anger and hate. And it makes you feel very frustrated with this. And I can't imagine that who would be against work like this and who would be skeptical of the rehabilitation process, whether it's through Balashram or any of the other projects that are out there. But what do you say to those skeptics, or how do you help change people's minds without becoming angry and without becoming, really hateful and judgment and using judgment in these situations, and as Kailash mentions, to really focus on compassion.
So compassion is something where you just not look at the problem as a problem and get emotional about it or feel bad about it, but where you go beyond one step closer and take the action. When you find something which is wrong, if you find some problem, like Kailash ji did, started 45 years ago when he realized that child labor or bonded labor, slavery is something which is wrong, which should not happen. He stepped into it and he started rescuing the kids. And today we believe the same, that once we start taking action which is selfless, not for ourselves but for the others, and either which is either for the children rights or for the environment or for the any cause which is harmful for the society, then we find that slowly see the changes. So even today, if we see, there are 160 million child laborers around the world. So the last ILO report, International Labor Organization, released the report, and which says that there are around 160 million children around the world who are still child labor, who are trapped into the slavery. But when he started working, there were more than that. But today, there are laws in India as well and globally as well. So in 1998, he did a global march against child labor across the world, where he marched in 104 countries, covering 80,000 kilometers. And in the result of that, we have a International Labor Organization law which says that Convention 182, that children cannot be employed in worst forms of child labor. So that's the one of the biggest change in the world, and many countries like India has bring the laws against children, and we have right to education law now in India as well. So that was only possible because he stepped into that and started taking action, and today we have, this is a global movement which is making possible that not only thousand but millions of children are able to go to school and they don't have to work, and if somebody employed them, that there is a law against that. So this is something I believe and we truly follow it.
You're listening to Trust Me, I Know What I'm Doing. After a quick break, we'll come back to our conversation with Kinsu Kumar and Varsha, leaders from the Satyarthi Global Movement for Compassion. Stay tuned. Conversation. It's the antidote to apathy and the catalyst for relationships. I'm Abhay Dandekar, and I share conversations with global Indians and South Asians so everyone can say, "Trust me, I know what I'm doing." New episodes weekly, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Vivek Murthy. I'm the 21st Surgeon General of the United States, and you're listening to Trust Me, I Know What I'm Doing.
Hi, this is Madhuri Dixit.
Hi, this is Farhan Akhtar.
Hi, this is Vidya Balan, and you're listening to Trust Me, I Know What I'm Doing.
Hi, I'm Kani Kusrudi. I'm an actor, and you are listening to Trust Me, I Know What I'm Doing.
Welcome back to Trust Me, I Know What I'm Doing. Let's rejoin our conversation now with leaders from the Satyarthi Global Movement for Compassion, Kinsu Kumar and Varsha. I'm curious, Varsha, when you work with some of the children and you hear some of the stories and some of their background, and I know that as a human being, that would make me very upset and angry that somebody's being treated that way. So, how do you manage that for yourself and remind others around you that that kind of reaction and anger and hate and judgment is not necessarily the most helpful reaction?
First, when I able to hear that the children are doing child labor, child trafficking or child marriage, I feel very angry and very upset because in the little age they are doing lots of hard work. They're not feeling so well or happy. They're not living their happy life. I was personally very worried that what happened to these children. They're so small, the little ones. So when I think I am upset or I'm getting angry, I supposed to talk to other people and knowing their thinking or thoughts, that what they think about this, is it happening right or wrong, and everyone think that it's all happening wrong with their little children. So we decide to do something for them, that in future this kind of things not happen again. Yeah, we have very upset when starting when we know this all things, and then we decided to do something for them.
Yeah.
Personally too, if I go somewhere with my family or anyone and any child I see that they are showing child labor, so I talk to them that this is not good for you, you have to go to school, you have to study. So yeah, if I go individual or alone, then I also take care for these things.
I can't imagine that anybody would ever think that these efforts are not helpful. And yet I'm sure that Ginsu, you must run into people who, are skeptics, who say that, well, the work is just futile, and you should direct your efforts elsewhere. And I hope there's plenty of good arguments against that, but how do you usually respond to those people out there who are skeptical of this?
The first thing is that the child labor or any kind of violence against the children, which is constitutionally is not right. So we are talking of whatever work we are doing, which is fundamental rights for a child. So this is more about justice and constitutional rights. It's not just about that we are doing some kind of work which is necessary. It is necessary, but it is fundamentally or constitutionally right of a child to get education, to receive love, to be cared, and not only in Indian laws, but also the United Nations Children's Charter or ILOs, which are the international bodies as well. So, and they've been ratified by and signed by the all the members countries. So that's why it became the responsibility of the government or of the government of that country to take care of the children or to stop child labor. And there are people who've been spectacle, and they might argue, they might angry, especially when they say that okay, they are poor. Then if they are poor, then they can't help themselves to get education. So poverty is not the cause of child labor, which is a very big misconception. That illiteracy is there because of the illiteracy, people are not aware that what education can change in the life of their children. And people make them fool, they take advantage of their illiteracy, and they don't know about their rights. So that's how people trick them and take advantage of the people who are poor or their children. So it's very important that we need to create a mass awareness among the people. That And also one of the argument which whenever I spoke, I always say is that if you see those children as your children, would you want those children to work? And the answer is always no. So if you believe that, if you cannot imagine your own child, son or daughter, working or being exploited in any forms of exploitation, then how can you think about any other children? So that's the one of the thing which I believe that people should always think about that.
Yeah. I guess from Varsha, your perspective and for your thoughts, if you had one or two things to change about the society to make it so that this problem went away, how would you maybe solve that? What are some of the big changes that you would like to see? How would you try and make this go away?
I will first appeal for from government to stop the all child labor. They every month or week go for a round and see if there is not happening any child labor or child marriage in anywhere in any place of our India. Yeah, they search every shop everywhere that there is not happening any this kind of things. So the big change will be this: first, the child labor. They see that everyone is pursuing their education, going to school, having their all kind of facility. They are not facing any kind of problems while going to school also, because there are many problems while going to school also, that stationery or uniform or for food to eat, anything. So
Yeah, I was going to say what you really are speaking to is enforcement and resources.
yeah, resources which they fulfill for the children needs.
What we need to do as a society, and I find that to stop child labor or any violence against children. So I think we need to create a compassionate, child friendly society where people see children as their own children, all the children as their own children, and the children's voices are heard. Like Varsha or me, and there are many children across the communities in India where our organization is working in different parts of India, especially in the rural areas and also urban slum. So the children you see, like Varsha and me, we been the you can see us as example that the opportunity we got and the learning we got, and that has make today what we are. Because of that, we are able today to speak in front of you and share about our journey and the change which can education can bring. And if we give the children the equal opportunity, and as a society we believe that the children must rise above everything and they are given their rights back, then I think we can create a world where every child is safe and educated and healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea of it not necessarily being always so linear. It's very difficult for them to become rehabilitated or even for them to escape this, or they become successfully rehabilitated and they succumb again backwards. How do you necessarily deal with some of those situations? Because in a perfect ideal situation, everybody is helping as much as they can, and yet there are just some forces, whether they be through mental health or addiction or even the tugs of family and trauma that's just too great. How are some of those more challenging situations dealt
Well, so working with the children is not just one part. Then we have to also work with their parents as well to make them aware about the children, the situation the children face when they are trafficked or when they are employed in child labor. So in the most cases, the parents are not aware what circumstances of their child is going through. A child is working for 16, 18 hours, and when they get to know, and they also go through the counseling, and we also aware their parents as well that uh, what harm which can create to their child if they are working and if they are not getting education. So simultaneously we also work with their parents as well, and when they go back we have a mechanism to the follow-ups and to deploy the government local agencies which are there, either police or the labor department or the education department.
yes.
So there are laws, especially in India, where the children who are rescued through bonded labor and child labor, and once they are rehabilitated, once they are reintegrated with their families, the schemes are there for them, either monetary benefits or any kind of other scheme which is they are entitled to get from the state government or the central government. See, we also work on that part as well. And then since the highest population of India live in the villages, so especially the migration of the trafficking is happened through the villages. So that's where the communities we are creating, the child friendly communities, child friendly villages we are creating in the villages, and also in the urban slum, the Bal Mitra Mandal. So those are the reasons behind that child labor start from the villages. So we want to curb that problem from the village, from the very grassroots level, so it doesn't start from there. So that's
Yeah.
how we try to end
Yeah,
that.
lot of community organizing, I imagine, as well. Varsha, I wanted to ask you, one thing, and that is that when doing this work, it's incredibly important. It's so important to serve as a leader. You're someone who's also helping not only younger children, but other teenagers, and for that matter, even other adults. You're trying uh, to help them understand the importance of schooling and education and breaking the cycle of these terrible atrocities. So I'm curious. Tell me maybe one or two things that you've learned about yourself in doing this work.
I don't know the rights and everything that I told you earlier, but now I am able to know what's the right and what's all thing I can do for others and for myself. I joined this BMM. After this, I able to know the English speaking classes also, where I go learning more English, and I join many people there also to
Would you say
learn.
you feel more empowered, that you feel more confident in yourself?
Yeah, more confident in myself and taking stand for myself.
That's
Yes.
great. Ginsu, I'm curious, and especially with your background of course, of having survived through being a child laborer, but now actually being an experienced leader. Maybe what are some of the one or two things that you either had to learn or unlearn for that matter in doing this work?
Well, I would say the whole process, as you said that with Varsha, that I do feel empowered, and I feel that the I had I'm more courageous now, and I'm doing for myself, whatever I'm doing for myself is what I am doing today is not only for myself, but which is something which is somewhere making the small difference in this world and for children, for the people. And and as also dream that there will be a someday that at one point there will be a world where the children are not suffering anymore, the children are more happier, and this world is much better for the children, and children don't have to deal with all the cruelty and the exploitation they are facing today. And I'm sure that if we are able to keep this movement not only in the villages or the small state or the country, but across the world. And through this platform, I also want to call upon the people who might hear this, that we need to take action. And if we start taking action, either we shouldn't feel that it's small or big, but once we start taking action against any kind of exploitation or any problem, I would not only resist to only for the children, but for the any problem we see today, the environment is a big problem, or there's a war happening across the world. I was reading a couple of days back that there are like 92 countries who are involved in any different kind of
Some
war,
conflict
either
or war, yeah.
conflict in their country or with the other countries. So the world is so much suffering, and especially the children and the women, they become the worst sufferer. We cannot say that the world is going very well in the era of artificial intelligence and the era of where data is transferred in a second. There is still world there that which is going through different challenges and the problem. So there, and we need to take action from today, and then only a better world is possible.
Again, we paint a picture of so many things wrong going on, and a lot of these situations with either child marriage or sex trafficking or child labor, they all involve predators and prey, and they can make people feel very hopeless. And yet, when you first are telling somebody about the work you do or sharing your own personal story, what gives you your own optimism and hope and maybe even joy about the work that you do?
Whenever I see, like today when I'm working at Bal Ashram, and whenever there are children who come, there are many children who come here, they don't know about their families. They are missing children, and they're not orphan, but they were trafficked or sold at very young age, so they don't know about whereabouts and where they come from. So whenever me or our team, whole Balashram, is able to reintegrate that child with his family after 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, there are many children who were reunited with their families after this many years. The joy and the love I see and the in the families or the child eyes is something which is hard to describe. That's make me to every day come to this work and continue my work.
And Varsha, I want to ask you somewhat of a similar question. Young adults and teenagers, you definitely have your own things that you have to deal with, exams and things that are hardships. And yet, at the same time, you've taken on a role as a leader and you're helping many other children, many other teens. So, for yourself, and even when you talk about the work, let's say somebody is out there who has not ever heard of Balashram, or they don't know all the problems that are out there. When you're describing this work to somebody like that and maybe introducing it to them for the first time, how do you hope they feel after they learn about some of these activities and the important work that you're doing?
They get interested in that when I tell them that Bal Ashram is in Rajasthan. They take care of children who do child labor. They rescue them and take care of children resource and everything. And yeah, I have to talk to them and manage my time for doing my studies and for the same thing for doing other children, taking stand for other children, tell them whatever happened what things happen in Bal Ashram and in our community. They come to us, they talk to us, and we guide them. Some children get interested and connected to us.
Yeah. Sometimes it actually helps to for them to donate money, and they can also help support in other ways. So, do you hope that they feel more than just interested, but that they can actually help you do something?
Whenever we need them, they help us and they are interested.
Great. Well, I do thank you both. I'm so grateful for all the work you're doing, and it's so important to share that compassion needs to be something that we all experience and that we can all spread and scale. And on top of that, I hope that all of the things that you both just mentioned can be very much a real impetus for all of us to not only get excited, but to take action and really help solve all these problems through compassion. Kinsu, Varsha, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a real treat, and we're also grateful for the work that you do.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir, for inviting us.
Many thanks to Kinsu and Varsha for everything they do. Please visit satyartimovement.org and satyarti.org to learn more about their global work. If you're listening in the US and may be aware of someone who might be a victim of human trafficking, please call 888-373-7888. That's 888-373-7888. Till next time, I'm Abhay Dandekar.